Okay, now we move on to the next topic. Therapist behaviors rupture alliance. In other words, you have built a relationship. All of a sudden, some of your behavior cause it to break. So if you have broken that relationship that you have built, you lose your client. And what are your responsibilities? Sometimes it is not what you do that caused the break. It's how the client interprets your behavior that caused the breakage. I'll give you one example. Paul has a client. He's a pretty high-strung professional person. And he'd been with Paul for, a good chunk of time, and they were improving. The therapy went well. And one day, there was a big traffic jam on the highway. So he called. He said, I cannot make it on time, but I am on the road, and the traffic was really heavy. I might be an hour late, who knows? So his appointment is at 7 o'clock. So he got stuck on the highway until 8:30. He said, I left work at 5 o'clock, and now it's 7 o'clock. I got here at 8:30. Well, we thought that he's coming for 7 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, Paul and I could go for dinner. But it was so late, and, well, obviously he hadn't eaten. So I said, why don't we go and get some. That was blackout. I remember that was blackout. And the only place I could get food is outside North York on Highway 7. I drove out to Highway 7 and got some Chinese dishes, So I brought it back, and we said to the client, well, we haven't eaten and you haven't eaten, it's so late, let's have dinner. So we did. After that, so they had their session, and he went home. Then he wrote to Paul. He said, you have violated client and therapist relationship. Because we ate together. That is not professional. What do you think of that? You see, you never predict how your clients interpret your action. It was out of the goodness of your heart you provide food. And here he talked about you have violated the client and therapist relationship. You see, so the relationship ruptured, not because of your fault, and because of the interpretation of the client. So that is something that you have to be careful about who you have as a client, what kind of job they have, what kind of personality, what kind of past behavior they have. You still want to be a psychotherapist?
How did you guys handle that? How did you guys handle the...
Well, they did some on email thing, and then later on they terminated because that rupture was a little too wide. And, well, Paul, obviously, being a human, got pretty upset. Yeah. In other words, you don't trust me. You use all these rules to escape, because he has had many, many psychiatrists, psychotherapists, psychologists, right? And I could see why they go from place to place. And here's one that he had learned a lot. And he just praised, like all the things that he had learned and he had improved, and we saw in his behavior, yeah, he had improved.
So I have to get the food and told him to eat in his car.
When your car come back.
Maybe go full circle. Yeah, no. So you have to remember, you cannot be expected to help all clients. You got to accept the fact that sometimes you win some and you lose some. As long as when you lose some, it's not your fault. Maybe sometimes it's our fault. I mean, we cannot prevent that. We're only human. Okay, 3 main themes of therapeutic alliance. Forming early. Why? Because in some cases, insurance only pays 6 sessions. How much can you do in 6 sessions? They're cutting down from 12 sessions to 10, now to 6. I mean, clients cannot pay. But that is neither here nor there, but I'm just saying reality. So how do you make connections? This is something that we want to talk about in our group discussion. What did you do to help build connections? The earlier, the better. And I find that play therapy, it's so good. Even playing ping pong is very good. And also you convey presence. You know, like you hear a lot about that from Paul's lecture, is here and now. Clients come all the way to sit here for 50 minutes or 60 minutes. It is here and now. I understand. I need to listen. Whatever it takes, that is where you start to build a relationship. And earlier we might say, after saying hello, what do you do? What would be the worst thing you can do? Give them a whole bunch of sheets to sign, asking questions. But I mean, you have your own style of connecting with your client. And we like to share some of that. And it is here and now, we're going to do the best we can. And this is why personality is so important. Why? You know, like, you have to understand your style will match with the style of your client. And that makes it so much easier. But then you cannot always get clients, with the same. But you are a mature, trained, experienced professional. You know how to reach people cannot be reached. Am I asking a lot? It is hard, but you do. You see some people walk in very grumpy and say, yeah, that's one more thing again, especially when the court order, they must get counseling. Ha, fix me, huh? Nobody else have done it, so, I mean, they come in right there. How do you how do you play that? You should be the experienced person with CAS. Right? You've seen those tough guys, didn't you?
Well, I think you just, my style would be more of I use a sense of humor depending on the client at first. So, I mean, I try to go in when I work with clients that are difficult. I go in kind of more passive in terms of, I don't go in, because it's a confrontational issue anyways.
Exactly.
So, especially if I'm going to somebody's home, even though I have the authority, I'm going there and say, you need to do this, and this. I go in there and kind of make small talk with them, kind of, develop a rapport with them, and then I kind of get them to do certain things. But once they have a relationship with you established, they will do it.
Right.
But the most key thing that I always use is respect. I always go in there and think, it's their home. I'm a person just like you are. I'm not better than you. That's my own mindset.
Yes.
I'm in a different position than you are.
Yes.
So it separates us. So that actually helps me to be able to help the clients, because I'm not going there thinking, okay, I'm the authority, I know more than you, and I'm better than you. I don't do that. That doesn't work. So when I go in there thinking, okay, you're not like you might be like me, I need to show you respect.
Yes.
You deserve respect, but there's some issues that we have to work on.
Right.
We'll just work on those issues. And 9 out of 10 times, most families will buy into that kind of stuff.
If they are confrontational, you play the passive role. Yeah. That's interesting. Any other?
So we get a lot of clients of CAS or fax sends to us, and I say, okay, what are they after? Why are they sending you here? Explain what's going on, explain why you need counseling, and educate me or what.
Right, share with me your experience. How can I help you? And I think this is very hard, because especially teenagers, They don't have this mature idea of my life goal, right? It's day-to-day coping, enjoy life, right? I mean, they have the right to. So it is our job to reach to them and see what their strengths are, what the weaknesses are, what are the obstacles that are preventing them to fulfill their goals, right? Those are we are not just talking about solving problem with our emotion and everything else. We are psychoeducational, right? We understand where they're coming from. With our knowledge, we educate and help them, and we are assisting them, right? We're moving along with them, walking along with them. We need a lot of patience, don't we? And engage a client in a meaningful and therapeutic relationship. We're not just buddies, okay? You don't call me in the middle of the night and say, I get upset, what you gonna do, right? You don't. And you have to be meaningful, and you have to be very therapeutic, right? And that's the same. You don't call me at this time of the night, we will talk tomorrow. That is discipline, right? And they need to exercise boundary, because you need to set the boundary, but you know whether they're, how far the boundary they are ready to have. All right, essential self-disclosure. This is very important, we talked about earlier, and also it is authentic. I'm not, like I share with you downstairs, right away you trigger some of the other people who say, I had the same experience too, right? And we could exchange on the basis of common understanding. And also, as you said, you humanize the relationship. I'm not here as a superior to that. There are too many of them already. I am here to recognize you are valuable human being. I respect you, and you have gifts that can be developed and used, not just for your own development, for your family's development, for your circles of friends, but also for society. So we are doing not just the person to rescue the person. Lots of people think that we are in the rescuing work. Yes, we are. We do rescue, but we are not like a fireman for one shot. It is a continuous. So I think we need to be open, discreetly, and to be, most importantly, to be able to build trusting relationship. Once that trust is demolished, is destroyed, and you can't. Like the example that I showed, Paul doesn't trust his client anymore, right? Because the client is using excuses to get away from therapy, I think. Now, this is another thing you have to remember. You are doing so well step by step, but at some point the client wants to get out. Can you tell me the reason why they couldn't face? They open so many doors for you, and you enter and you go into it and you fix it. All of a sudden, when you come here, the door's shut. Because there are areas of secret that they could not face at this moment, right? So the same thing with us. That's why I said in the beginning, you have the right to keep secrets to yourself until you are ready to open. And we've got to respect the client of that too. They are not ready, don't push it. What would you say? Well, it looks like, everything else, what you wanted to talk about, we already covered. And here are some things that you mentioned, but you're not willing to go through. That's okay. When you are ready, we could talk about it. You see, so that is actively showing them you respect their rights. And I think that is very important, especially sometimes, with correction services. They don't give them the right, they don't feel that they were in charge. Human beings need to feel that I am in charge of my life. And therapists have said, I empower you to strengthen your intention to be your own person, because you were there just for a moment. You disappear, and they have to be on their own. And this is why I say this is so important in psychotherapy, so that you can help them to help themselves. It sounds like cliche, but this is the truth. Okay.